Hello there. Happy holidays. We just came from a pretty decent Stardom Queendom 2025. What you see in front of you, this was a quick prediction list I did right after the match zero we had with the rookies. As you can see, I was about right for five of these matches, and the other three were kind of sus, especially the goddess one. But we'll go into that as we dive through some of these matches real quick. Starting off, we have the rookie versus rookie match, consisting of Matoy Hamabe and Ane Kanaya versus Emma Maishima and Kikyo Furusawa. This was a pretty good match for rookies versus rookies. Wasn't really much to go over. The I guess the idea for this match was, as you know, um, both Matoy and Kanaya were both out for most of the year, while Emma and Kikyo were just grinding hard throughout this year. So it's no surprise that those two were the obvious winners. I'm more so hoping to see where Emma and Kikyo go in terms of factions, since hopefully that should be coming up sometime next year. And I I kind of think Maishima might go to Cosmic Angels. I could be wrong, but she has that Cosmic Angels type look. And Kikyo, maybe God's Eye, maybe, not sure, not yet. Although during the year she was tagged with Saya a lot, so Saya Kamatani. So that should be an interesting 2026 whenever they start putting them in factions. As for Latoy and Ane, I'm hoping to see more of them, more matches from them this year, especially since they were out for a hot minute, and hopefully they could get back into the grind of things. But overall, for a rookie match, obviously there was some slow pacings here or there, but for a match zero, this was perfectly fine. Going on to the actual pay-per-view with the first match, we have Tomoka Inaba and Shuri versus the greatest white belt champion, if I say so myself, Starlight Kid and Azumi. Starlight Kid at coming back from a 2 month or so injury, which I believe she came back earlier than expected, which was good. As of this match, this was nothing but perfect. Like, you have four amazing wrestlers going at it, and especially Starlight Kid, seeing how she's back into things, you know, can't really can't really find any flaws in this match. I guess my only complaint, no, it wasn't my complaint. I've noticed a lot of people didn't actually like the fact that Shuri lost, considering she has her big Wrestle Kingdom match against Saya for the IWGP Women's Championship. But as long as she wasn't pinned, I think this was fine. I think it was more important for Starlight Kid to get the win because, as you know, she's now challenging for the red belt, which I thought that was very, very quick. I knew when she came back, she was going to be gunning for red belt, but to have her immediately do it on the day she came back is very interesting. And at the end of the video, I have a little thought process on what might be going on. Also good to see Azumi doing what she does. I think Azumi had a pretty good year, right? She won the strong belt back in I think it was the triple threat match with her, Hazuki, and Mercedes Moné. She also won artist with Starlight Kid and Kevin, if y'all know who that is. It's Amazaki, and she had a good red belt match against Saya for both belts on the line, which I thought that was one of the better red belt matches of the second half. So pretty good on Azumi. And obviously Shuri, she beat Satori for the IWGP belt for the second time. Well, she got the belt for the second time. So her position is very interesting because there is a world where Shuri actually loses and have two reigns with like one defense, which is pretty wild to me. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like in theory, I feel like the correct answer is having Shuri win and unifying the strong belt so you can just get rid of this whole strong nonsense thing, right? But for all we know, they might give Saya three belts. So we'll see how that goes. And then Tomoka Inaba from God's Eye, I think she's pretty dope. I kind of want to see more of her. I know she challenged SLK for the white belt some months back, which was pretty dope. Hoping to see more, or in general, I'm trying to see more of God's Eye in the belt scene now, because they have been slacking as of late, in my opinion. But overall, great match, great opener. Can't go wrong with these four. Moving on, we have the Rumble. I picked Rena for this, and I was kind of right on that. So a lot of these Rumbles, I've noticed, even though these aren't like official, like the winner gets to like fight for a white belt or whatever, they still kind of do eventually, which is what happened here. So later on during the pay-per-view, Rena made a call out to Konami that she wants to be the next challenger for the white belt. So there we have it. As far as the Rumble itself, um, I didn't really care much for it until the final three, which was Rina, her sister Hina, and Amazaki, which I thought that was pretty cool considering those were the last three future Stardom champions before Hanako, right? Like first it was Rina, and then that went to Amazaki, I believe. Or is that the other way around? Damn, I might have forgotten, but I'm pretty sure it was Rina to Amazaki to Hina. If I'm wrong in that order, correct me, but those three were like the last three for the future belt before Hanako beat Hina for the title. So I thought that was a little cool throwback they did. Besides that, this was I didn't really have nothing else to say about this Rumble. Again, a lot of it was what you expect. And again, I'm gonna be harping on God's eyes because a lot of them were in this Rumble, which I thought some of them are above this. Like for example, Real Tokyo Towers. Those two, I was rooting for them during the Goddess tournament. They didn't really do so well. Ranma, right? Yagami. I think she's aiming for future again, so I'm hoping she kind of puts some work for that as well. Even Kyoka. Kyoka's pretty dope. So I'm kind of hoping she kind of gets far wherever she does. Um, Olympia, seeing her was also pretty cool. And Saki's an interesting character, but yeah, I don't really want to digress on this Rumble too much. There was nothing of any importance going on. All right. So we have EXV versus B Vita Loca. This match was fine until they decided to do a double count out, which I was really a fan of. But We don't know what Okada be thinking sometimes, but it's his company. Whatever, dog. I think they were trying to do two things with this match. One was to obviously set up Megan Bayne from AEW and Mozilla, start their rivalry going, which is very cool actually. And it's also great to see Megan Bayne back in Stardom whenever she can. Always a treat. Kind of curious on how far they go with this Megan Bayne versus Mozilla stuff, but should be dope. And then they have Maika and Suzu Suzuki. I think this is an amazing throwback to 2023, right? Where both of them were fighting for the red belt. I believe at that time it was Suzuki who was the winner and Mike was the runner up. And the belt was vacant at the time, so it was just those two fighting for it. And so to have them at it again, I feel like they're setting up Micah for All Star Grand Queendom against Saya. I feel like that's the final goal, which is why I thought it was interesting that Micah wasn't the next one to call up. So I think they're just saving Micah for that pay-per-view. So while she's waiting, they're probably gonna have her do this little faction versus faction feud and then see how that goes. Other than that, this was also another okay match, right? So at this point, the only match that really got my attention was SLK and Azumi versus Shuri and Tomoka. So yeah, whatever. Moving on. This match was OD. This was probably like my underrated match of the night because I didn't expect much from Full-Chan and Hazuki, but they kind of whipped. They whipped real hard in this match. Full-Chan, she showed off her new finisher, the Shining Wizard. That was pretty cool. She had a dope entrance too with the little pink wings or whatever that was. And then Hazuki being Hazuki, she's always fucking amazing, right? But I think this was a great reintroduction match for Full Chan, especially going against Hazuki. And I kind of hope they keep doing this trend because I feel like they're doing like this little training arc for her where it'll be dope to see her like face against other like mentors, like experienced players. So like her versus like Tomoka Inaba would be nice to see. And I keep mentioning Inaba because I really like her. The one hit kill moment, she is very good. And I don't know, yeah. I feel like they could keep doing the whole mentorship thing, and then from there start having her face off against the other rookies and work her way towards future, which I believe she's eligible, even though she debuted in 2022. I believe the rules for future is that you can partake in it if you're less than 3 years or if you're like, was it under 19 or under 20, something like that. So um, I did remember seeing a tweet saying that they reset her time, so 2022, I guess didn't count. So good on her, I guess. But I'm looking forward to seeing more Full Trend and seeing how she does. I know there's four Kurikan shows they're doing. I'll actually be going to the first two, the 10th and 11th live. So I can't wait for that. And then I think there's one in the 21st, I believe, give or take. But it'll be dope to see Full Chan live and see what she does. Overall, another great match, probably the second. Ooh, if I were to rank this, this might have been third or fourth, give or take. But overall, very underrated for me and kind of shocked me a bit. So good on them for that. Sari versus Natsupoi. So Sari, the sun god, Taiyoshin, is my favorite wrestler. probably almost of all time. Whenever there's a Sareee match, I always love seeing her win, except in this one. I'm having issues with this. Oh no, this match was amazing, right? This potentially could have been my favorite match. It still might be my favorite match, but I think the way they were telling the story, they should have just gave it to Natsupoi, right? Like in the match, Sari was just spamming Uranagis, right? Left and right, like three or four, and Natsupoi was just tanking those shits. I'm like, oh shit, Natsupoi, let's go. It's time to whip. Do that fairy blink, fairy gift nonsense, da 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 da. And then Sari hit her with one more Uranagi, and that wiped her out. It's like, fuck, that sucks. Um, I don't know, man. This was one I felt like for a good story, I would have loved if the Sun guy just lost this one. But yeah, I don't know. I think Natsupoi and Sayori probably had the best matches in this pay-per-view. And see Natsupoi lose, it kind of makes me wonder, okay, what are they gonna do then? Are they gonna do another 1v1 or are they gonna do another tag team? Because I know the next Surreism is in March, so maybe they start something there. But overall, this still was a good match, an amazing match. Serene matches are always amazing. You can't go wrong for it. Just I disagree with the ending. I think if you're gonna have Natsupoi tank all those Uranagis, you should give her the win. Let her fairy blink the fuck out on Serene or whatever and just get the dub. But I digress, man. Cosmic Angels, man, they are just eating these L's. So speaking of Cosmic Angels, let's move on to the next L, which is the Goddess Tag Team Belts of BMI versus Sakura. So, out of the big four matches, right, between the Red Belt, the Wonder, the Tag Belt, and the Suri versus Natsupoi, this was probably my least favorite. And it sucks because I was extremely happy when Sakura, when they won the Goddess of Final, or the Goddess Final. This, I don't think it's gonna be controversial, but I thought that match was like top three matches for me of the year. Um, like so, I was watching the pay-per-view, right? The Goddess pay-per-view, and they made top four, but I didn't think they were going to win it at all. My money was on Megan Bain and Hanako to at least make it to the finals, right? And I thought BMI was just gonna take the whole thing or whatever. But then you just see Aya Sakura and Sayaka just out here just whipping out. I was like, wait, what's going on? Why are they OD all of a sudden? And then he made it to final. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I just started believing. Like, ah, man, that match was so, so good. And then we have this match for the actual tag belts. And it's the complete opposite feeling, which sucks. It started off slow, which was fine, right? And then it, I felt like it was BMI just completely taking over the match. Mind you, they didn't even cheat to win this, which was crazy to me. Because back in the Goddess final, they were trying their best to cheat. I'll never forget the one spot, which was probably my favorite spot of the whole Goddess final match, was when Natsuko Tora, tried to hit Korra with the mist, and then she weaved that shit and hit her with a spear. That shit was OD. I kind of wish that was the winning pin. That would have been so sick. But She had the jackknife pin in the end. But the whole dodging the miss, I mean, him with the spears, like, oh, y'all ain't gonna cheat this time. And just won. That was sick. And then here, BMI was like, bet, we're not gonna cheat. We're just gonna steamroll you. And they kind of did. Um, with Aya Sakura, right? I thought she was, I could be wrong, maybe I have to rewatch the match, but she didn't use her new suplex move, right? The what's it called? Blooming Dream? That was the name of it. She used the move on Hanako to win the New Blood belts. She might have tried to use it on here, but I don't think she did it. I could be wrong, but I thought they were going to do that again to have them win the belts by using that move, which would have been sick. But the match was just, and mind you, this pay-per-view was so long. By the time it got here, I'm sure people were just like kind of already out of it. So not only was the match kind of timing wise, it kind of sucked as well. So not really happy with this match, but I'm kind of hoping. I don't know why I'm saying I'm hoping. I know, okay, Sayaka Kurara, they're gonna be pushing her to the moon. I still have the theory of like they're trying to make her Kurara like the next best thing, and I hope they do. I hope she wins every fucking belt, become the best in the world because she had an amazing year, right? She won the Cinderella tournament. Yeah, got them little shoes on. Then was like, yo, I want red belt. I was like, what? That's OD. And that match for the red belt, even though she lost, that was a sick ass match. The fact that she was like, yo, y'all been bullying Cosmic Angels for so long. I need to handle Saya Kamatani. That match was sick. And then and then her and Aya Sa Sakura, right? They beat Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama for the new belt, for New Blood, which was also dope as well, right? And then right after that, they just win the Goddess fucking final. I'm like, bro, they got some stocks on them this year. So, and I will say, I'm not mad that they lost. It was completely fine that they lost, right? Because I think in retrospect, having both belts was just a booking nightmare. Because they haven't even defended New Blood titles yet. So like imagine some like random off-fighter team for some reason, right, beats them for New Blood. And it's like, oh, well, we beat you for these belts. That means we also should be getting these goddess belts or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah. So it was fine that they lost, but I kind of wished the excitement was there, just like it was for the goddess final, you know. But yeah, this was my least favorite match of the night going on. So let's move on to Wonder of Stardom Championship. Zay White Belts with Konami versus Saya Alita. I thought this was an amazing match. I think people were very upset that Saya Alita actually lost, which I can understand because the crowd was awake for this match. Like Saya Alita had the crowd for sure. And she's just a person like who everyone loves. And you can see why. Like she's been out here grinding, working hard, and it's like, give me that white belt, bitch. Da, 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 da. And I thought she might have taken it, but at the same time, there was no way they're gonna let Konami have like a zero defense win on the white belt she just won, right, against Starlight Kid, which was also, by the way, her versus Starlight Kid was the best match in Crimson Nightmare by far. Um, But this was a match that just had the people going, and you were just rooting for Sayalita, seeing what she can do, seeing how she can outsmart Konami. You know, um, I think one change I would have done to this match, I would not have had Sayalita tap out. I think they should have just kept the whole Konami passing people out. She should have just passed. She should have just had Sayalita knocked out. That would have been so dope. Like, all right, she didn't tap out. She was like, I'd rather risk my life, you know. That would have been cool. But Other than that, I didn't really see Saya Lita winning. However, I am hoping she now gets more opportunities because of this. This was top three for me for sure. Um, between the Saria Natsupoi and the World of Stardom match, this was also on here for my top three favorites. I just don't know which order I'll put them in because it's kind of hard. But yeah, great match from them. Moving on to the World of Stardom Championship between Saya Kamatani, a Phoenix Queen, and Sayori Ano, the uh, the god of all Tesla owners. If you see that whole promo they did of Saya sneaking into Sayori's car and just fucking her up, that shit was funny. And then Sayori beforehand was like, "Well, at least I got a Tesla. Get your car off." Da 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 da. It's fucking weird ass promos. But so I believe a lot of people came into this match with low expectations, right? Due to, Saya making the announcement of, hey, we're gonna go to the Tokyo Dome. About to get all this big money. I'm about to go and fight Shuri for the IWGP Championship. I'm about to have three belts in this bitch mouth, right? And like elevating her to like this godly status, right? And then we just see, oh, Sayuri challenging for the red belt. Beforehand, it's like, yeah, she's not winning. And of course she didn't win. But I think this match was a lot better than people give it credit for. The new outfits they both entered in the ring with were pretty cool. And I think seeing Sayuri just lively throughout the whole match was pretty dope. Um, I kind of also like Saya using the chains to try to choke her out, like she tried to do for Tom Nakano back in All-Star Grand Queendom this year. I think that was a little cool throwback or whatever. Um, this red belt match was better than Crimson Nightmare's main event of Saya versus Momo. Uh, yeah, I think this was okay. Not so. I think I'll talk about Saya's. So Saya has had eight defenses as of now, and I'll probably talk about how I feel about her run. But as a final match, this was pretty great. No complaints here or there, right? It took what, two Star Crushers to beat Sayuri, right? The special spinning one she does, which is like, all right, this is the GG one. Although it would have been cool if she kicked out of it, ever. But yeah. So at this point, Saya has beaten all Cosmic Angels, or at least all the people who could challenge for the red belt, right? Unless for some reason Yuna Mizumori pulls up and is like, hey, I want next. And it's like, okay, relax. Don't worry about the high speed belt. But yeah. So final thoughts on this pay-per-view. It was an okay pay-per-view. It wouldn't be something I'd rewatch. Probably not, right? Like this isn't like, All-Star Grand Queendom where I'm just rewatching Saya versus Tom Nakano for like the 10th time or whatever, right? Um, this pay-per-view also felt very safe. They didn't want to risk anything with this. Actually, it was so safe that they made Hate, I mentioned over here, 4-0 without cheating, which was insane. Well, I guess Sai using the chains, I guess that's quote unquote cheating, but like the whole point was that there was no interference, right? No miss, no boxes, no baseball bats, none of that nonsense. It was like, I bet 1v1, fucking whatever. Another highlight that happened after the Rumble was Izuki Aikawa, OG Stardom wrestler. coming back from retirement to challenge Yuria Hime, which I think this will be a good match for her. Um, I know Yuria was out for a bit, then she came back and she just started eating pins. I think she got a win recently, a win or two, but considering she's the newest member of Stars, and she hasn't been really much out there for me in the Stars faction, right? Like you have Hanan, right? The Sunshine, fucking doing her thing, and Sayalita out here, Bea Priestley, which regarding Bea Priestley, I heard a very, very funny theory that she's gonna turn heel on them. And I couldn't stop to help but just think about how that would work. And it's kind of funny because whenever Bea Priestley comes out, she is just overtly nice. Always just like smiles, like, hey guys, da, 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 da. So like her, like just faking it for a heel turn would be funny, but I don't know about that. But even Momo Kogo, right? Red hair. Even has been standing out as a recent, although I would like to see her in more events and such. But this match for Yuria will probably start bringing her up there, which is what I want to see. I believe this is going to be on it's in one of the Kurikan Hall shows. I don't think it's the 10th or the 11th one, the one I'm going to, but I think it's the 21st. I could be wrong on that. But this match would be good to showcase Yuria, so I hope they take advantage of that. I already mentioned about Hate going 4-0, and then SLK, the greatest white belt champion, for me personally, challenging for red belt. So my thoughts on that was I mentioned before I knew she was gonna gun for red belt after coming back from injury. I just didn't think they were gonna do it frame one. And apparently the match is happening at the Osaka event they're doing in February. So my thought process is that she's losing for sure. Um, However, I do want to point out a path that I kind of want them to take. So I think a lot of people are in agreement that well actually I want to say that, but a lot of people think it's gonna be Micah that eventually beats Saya. And I was of that opinion, especially now with the idea of I think it's gonna be Micah versus Saya at All-Star Grand Queendom this year. However, while I still want that match to happen, I think Micah should lose that match. And I think what they should do instead is have whoever wins the 5-star Grand Prix this year beat Saya at Dream Queendom 2026. Right? Because I think we are tired of seeing these 5-star winners just lose. It's kind of annoying, right? We haven't had one win since 2022, right? 2023 was, as you know, Suzuki, who won against Micah, who's the runner-up, and the runner-up won the title. It's like, all right, cool, Micah. And then Micah won 2024, but couldn't get the job done to get the red belt. And then Momo won the 2025 five-star, and then challenged for both red and strong belts, which was just like, oh man, this was not going to be good news. And it wasn't because she didn't win either. So I think now that we are building Saya as like this godly force, I think we could use like the 5 stars, like a little training arc to get someone over there. And I think that someone should be Starlight Kid. I want by the end of 2026, I want Starlight Kid as red belt. I think she's more than worthy enough to carry the weight of that championship. Starlight Kid with her white belt run was probably top 3 white belt runs of all time. Of all time. You can even argue it was probably the best, but uh, uh, I will for sure give it top 3. That was probably the best white belt run I've seen in a long time. And the thing with Saya and SLK. So if you were to ask me my top three for this year in terms of wrestlers, in order, it would be Saya Kamatani, Starlight Kid, and Sari. With SLK, there could be arguments for pushing her to one, and you might call me crazy for that. But the way I see Starlight Kid versus Saya Kamatani and their respective title runs, Saya Kamatani has had a low floor, high ceiling type run, where she has had, especially in the beginning of the year, her matches were peak. Like we ain't beating some of those matches. You probably ain't gonna beat that for a while, right? But during the later half of her run, I'd say starting with Bea Priestley, I felt like the matches were great. They just weren't like as good as the previous year or the previous months, right? I think the Azumi one might have been an exception because that was a really, really good match. Whereas with Starlight Kid, I think she has a high floor, low ceiling, where all of her matches were just consistently good throughout the year, even. Um, Even when she lost to Konami, which I don't know if I mentioned this, but I think I did. Konami versus Starlight Kid was the best match of that Crimson Nightmare card because I was not. That whole Saya versus Momo thing was like, all right, bro, whatever. TTs hate Civil War, that's cool and all that. But like, um, Konami versus Starlight Kid at Crimson Nightmare was an amazing match. I even like the way it ended, right? Starlight Cage was like, I'm not gonna tap out. You're gonna have to kill me. And Konami's like, all right, bet. Bye bye. The end, as she says it, right? Um, well, yeah, Starlight Kid, high floor, low ceiling. Like, I don't think she had like a peak match, but they were also good and consistent. Whereas Saya has had many peaks. Some of the red belts are a bit questionable, right? So you could argue, you could interchange, but at the same time, it's very hard to like push Starlight Kid as one where they have Saya like over there getting the Tokyo Dome deal, MVP, right? She got ranked three for a PWI, all that fun stuff. So that number one spot is you would say is pretty solidified. If there wasn't the Saya Kamatani, it'd be SLK for sure. What a year she has. And that's why she should be the next red belt. SLK Red Belt Agenda 2026. I am for it, and I'm ready for it. Even, and you know, I love Micah, but I'm willing to sacrifice Micah for the SLK agenda. So that's also my quote unquote future plans for Stardom, right? Micah versus Saya, All Star Grand Queendom. Micah loses. Cool. 5 star. SLK wins. Boom. SLK pulls up. Dream Queendom, bitch. See me then. Saya's like, oh, you ain't gonna beat me. Da, da, da. And then, through faith and believing, SLK wins. And we can all enjoy Stardom in peace once again. But that's all I have for a Stardom Dream Queendom review. Thanks for watching.